All right, Shalom. Giving all praises, glory, and honors unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem, Brakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000, the rest of the hopeful elect out there. This is your brother, the priest Zion from GMS Atlanta. Back with another edifying video. And this one will be a quick one. The U.S. is experiencing a digital ID push as well. They're not doing it in the same manner as you hear about other countries making public announcements or certain statements. It's being done gradually. You know, America is really the this big experimental country where, you know, this government does things in a different manner from the rest of the world. You know, America is pretty much backwards, you know, and a lot of different experiments get done in this place. Anyway, so this is Apple adding U.S. passports to wallet app. So the passports are going to start being attached to these phones where you can, and you know, as this thing rolls out, I've always said that the documentation, you know, your social security cards, your bank cards, debit, your medical information, all that is being transferred to the smartphone, to digital means. And now your passports are going to be in one place on your smartphone as well. So this is another push for digital ID and another step closer to the MOTB, which is the physical microchip implant. So it says Apple is planning to include U.S. passports in its iPhone wallet app later this year. All right, the company has announced digital ID will be coming later this year with U.S. passports only, the company says in the footnotes on its website, presenting the latest iOS 26 features. So they're updating the software, and they're adding, they will be adding your passport to your wallet, which is what? What does it say here? Digital ID. See, they didn't come out like this guy Starmer out of the UK, what he did and say it, but they're doing it subtly, you know. Like I said, the U.S. does things different, okay? But we'll see how they push the system, you know, whether or not this guy Trump will make a statement like Starmer, or they may say that type of announcement, but when they introduce the MOTB, and you got to get the device under your skin. But they do it here in the U.S. by gradualism. You know, more covertly as opposed to overtly, like they do in countries overseas. But as you can see, here's the statement: digital ID will be coming later this year. So all of this is a step closer to Revelation 13 and 16 being fully realized, you know, manifested, you know, that prophecy being fulfilled. So it says the news comes after the tech giant announced in June that the latest version of iPhone's operating system will support TSA. TSA approved digital passports and augmented boarding passes. Now, if you've flown on a plane recently, you can get your TSA, Transportation Security Administration. You know, you can get your boarding passes and your tickets on your phone. Okay. I took a flight earlier this summer, and they emailed, the airline sent me an email, and once you get into the email, they put your tickets right there in the email, but also you can add it to your digital wallet. So Apple already had the ability to put your boarding passes or your plane tickets on your digital wallet. It's just that now they're adding the passport. So this is a part of the digital ID system that they've been pushing. Okay. The digital passport is likely to be added in a future update of iOS. And earlier this week, Apple allowed developers access to the new version for testing purposes, but the digital ID support was not included. So now they're going to eventually include it. Once the feature becomes available, users will be able to upload their passports to the Wallet app alongside driver's licenses and state IDs. So this technology, your smartphone, is a one-stop shop for everything. Okay? That's what it's shaping out to be. And like I did the video yesterday dealing with the UN, how they want to take these populations that don't have access to certain government services, they want to give them access through the digital ID and digital wallets as well. So this is a global effort, okay? This is a global effort, and it ties into the mark, okay? It says the digital documents, right? The digital documents can be used to prove identity or age. That's what they're doing with these websites. YouTube is doing it. Other social media apps are doing it. Age verification or age assurance. Policies are in place for underage children and adults. All this is a part of the global agenda. And we here at GMS, we've been telling you about this for years, and now we see it happening. Okay? This is why you other Israelite groups, you're having to catch up to speaking on the digital ID and this transformation, because you're behind the wall. You're behind the ball. Right? Behind the wall and behind the ball. You're behind. Okay? Now, groups like the IUIC, ISUPK, they're still not admitting to the actual mark being the physical implant, but they are. I know the IUIC, at least, they're breaking down, because at first they wasn't. At first when they break down Revelation 13 and 16, the vision of thing was talking about big nations, small nations, rich nations, poor nations. But now, years later, and I did the video on exposing that. I exposed it in a well put together compilation of information, videos, and proof. They were breaking down the mark of the beast one way, excuse me, and now they're breaking it down another way. So now, years later, they're speaking on the digital ID as if, because they want to add, because at first they were talking about nations. Now they're talking about individuals won't be able to buy and sell without the digital ID. Well, then the next step is all they have to do, and it could be the same guy out of the UK, Starmer. Starmer, all he has to do is say you would not be able to work without the digital ID, and he'll say now you won't be able to work without getting the implant. Now everything because of fraud and so forth, whatever excuse they come up with, whatever crisis they come up with, they're going to say that now you're going to need to get this implant to keep you safe as an individual. And you can still use it to buy and sell, go to work, and so forth. But this here, dealing with the U.S. passports going digital, this is a step closer to digital ID and MOTB here. Well, they're saying it is a part of the digital ID system, but it's another step closer to the implant. So we'll see how they roll that part out. Okay, the digital ID, that's not the MOTB. The digital ID is not the mark of the beast, but is a step closer because it's the system that the mark will utilize. Okay? It says, once the feature becomes available, users will be able to upload their passports to the wallet app alongside driver's license and state IDs. The digital documents can be used to prove identity or age through iPhones and Apple Watches at select businesses and at certain TSA checkpoints and airports. And dealing with the Apple Watch, that's a wearable. So where is your wearable located? On your wrist, on your hand. So let's say it's more convenient to put, instead of pulling out your phone, you already got your Apple Watch on your arm, right or left hand, and you just tap your Apple Watch, wave your hand, your hand is attached to your wrist where your watch is, and then you use that to board a plane. That's the same neural activation, mental gradualism that they're setting you up for just using your hand for purchases. Well, I already use my Apple Watch, or I use my Google Watch, or my Galaxy Watch. I'll just tap this to my, payment terminal, or I could just get the implant. That's the mindset of these people, because they're going to be used to tapping. That's what they're getting used to now. Here it is, you got a whole credit and debit card with a magnetic swipe strip, and they don't even use it at the terminal. It used to be insert your card to the payment terminal. Now you just tap it. They're getting used to tapping, tap and go, tap and pay, And this is poetry. This is biblical poetry when it comes to prophecy, because we've been breaking it down to you people for years. Now we're seeing it, okay? Now we're seeing how much GMS is right. Now you Israelites are seeing how much GMS got it right. It says the digital documents can be used to prove identity or age through iPhones and Apple Watches at select businesses and at certain TSA checkpoints at airports. So you can use it to buy and sell, right? Businesses, right? It says the TSA already accepts passports presented as an ID pass within Google Wallet. And speaking of these airports, brothers were having a conversation yesterday, or the day before. You need to have the real ID here in America. I know they have it here in Georgia. You need to have the real ID on your license with that star, whether it's a gold star, whether it's a black star. You need to have that star in order to board a plane, or they're going to give you all kind of hell at the airport. Okay, you got to have that real ID in order to fly domestically as well. So how much more you would need the digital ID in the near future? How much more you will need the implant in the near future? Let me get the prophecy, man. Let me get that scripture, because this prophecy is becoming more and more clear every day. Okay, Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That mark is a physical object, a physical device that will go in your right hand or in your forehead. And if you're in Europe, it'll go on the left hand. Right? The NFC instead of the RFID. Same thing, same technology. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell. Okay? You will not be able to work. You will not be able to set up a business. You will not be able to buy anything, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay? Here is wisdom. You got to have wisdom to understand this prophecy. The majority of you Israelites, you know the truth, but you don't have the full truth. You don't have the proper wisdom, and you don't have all the understanding. But you should, because GMS is breaking it down for you. Okay? We're breaking it down by the scripture, by the word, the languages. We're giving you visual examples of other people saying the same thing that we're saying. The proof is in the pudding. But ultimately, you have to be of the elect to get it. So if you can't see it, you're not of the elect. Let's say you can see it, but you're teaching the wrong thing. If you can see it, but you're not teaching the right thing, then you're a false prophet, and you're still not of the elect. Read Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. The blood of the people that are destroyed will be on the hands of those leaders that have taught the wrong thing. So that goes out to General Yohana, Bishop Nathaniel, the Quam of the WFI. Who else teaches against it? All you Old Testament Israelites. You all got it wrong. GMS are the ones that got it right. All right, and those that were taught by GMS, of course, are affiliates. But then you got Sakari and Genesis. They got it right. GOCC, they got it right. But they're going off on other scriptures. They're going off on other things. So they're still wrong. You got to have the whole truth, the whole breakdown. So it says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beasts, for it is the number of a man. Right? It ain't talking about the spiritual demon Satan. It's not talking about one individual man. It's talking about a man as a people, which is Esau, Edom, the Edomites. This is their world. The beast is their system, their empire, which is Rome all over again. Except now Rome's going digital. It says, and his number is 666, and they use that number as a vibration to perform certain rituals, and they put it subtly, like in the barcode. But also, when you break down that word for 6, you can break it down in the Greek. I'm not going to go into it here, but it means to prick or to stick you. Well, that's what they want to do with the mark. They want to stick it under your skin. Remember, this isn't a spiritual mark. The mark is not sin, like Bishop Nathaniel of the IUIC says. The mark is not sin. The mark is not spiritual. The mark of the beast is physical. The mark that Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, is going to give to his chosen, that's spiritual. The mark of exemption from judgment. You can read Ezekiel 9 and 4. Okay? Or the scripture says that you're marked for sin. That means that you are being scoped out. You're being watched. It's not talking about what IUIC talking about. So this prophecy, like I said, we're seeing this become more clear every day. Okay? So now let's go back here. We're definitely a step closer to the chip being mandated. Because they're making what? They're making digital ID mandatory. It says the TSA already accepts passports presented as an ID pass within Google Wallet. So it's already in Google Wallet. A feature that was launched by Google last year. Okay, let me click on this link here and see what it says. I'm not going to make this too long. Here you go. December 12, 2024, biometric passports and Google Wallet take domestic flight in U.S. So they already set it up, okay? Google Wallet's feature for digitizing U.S. biometric passports has graduated a production launch, enabling domestic travel within the country through digital ID. So if you're thinking that it's something that's not going to happen in America, you better think again. It's already happening. This is from 2024. They just didn't make no announcement like they did in the UK. They experiment with the minds of the masses of you people here in this country because they consider you stupid. Talking about the elites, the Illuminati, the banking families behind the scenes, they think you're stupid because they made you that way. Put stuff in the air, put stuff in the water, put stuff in the food. They experiment with you all the time, and now they're doing it through these psyops, these unalivings that are happening in public, these different events. So even the information and the way they shift and change things around in this country, the way they do things, they're messing with you people. So those of us that hope for elect, we can see through it. Like it says in 2 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. We see through the plan. We know the agenda. It says the TSA is accepting Americans' biometric passports. Notice it's saying biometric because you got to deal with the facial recognition. They have that at the airport here in Atlanta. All right. At Hartsfield Jackson, facial recognition. And brothers brought that out years ago before it was even implemented. 2016, I think. The brothers in the camp here in Atlanta brought that out. The TSA is accepting Americans' biometric passports, like facial recognition mainly, right? Fingerprints is a part of that. It says presented as an ID pass within Google Wallet at select checkpoints. Digitized passports cannot be used for international flights to or from the U.S. So it's not international as of last year, as of December of 2024. I'm just reading this past article here. So you couldn't use it for international flights, but you can use it for domestic. Okay? So let me read this here. To add IDs to the Apple Wallet. Well, hold on, let me read this. The TSA already accepts passports presented as an ID pass within Google Wallet. I just brought that out. A feature that was launched by Google last year. Digitized passports, however, cannot be used for international flights to or from the U.S. So I guess it's still the same. So for domestic flights, you can use a digitized passport, digital ID passport for domestic, but not for international, going overseas. But who knows? With this digital ID being needed in the UK now, they might set that up internationally. You know, I'm pretty sure Trump and these guys, Starmer in the UK, is going to work out something for biometrics and digital ID between both countries soon. So that can be added to these platforms. See, we've been telling you this for the longest. But you don't believe GMS. GMS are a bunch of lovers of people's offspring, and they worship Yahweh Shai, and they do this. Listen, man, what's in the scriptures, that's what we teach. From the apostles on down, that's what we teach here at GMS. Whether you get emotional about it or not, we teach the right thing, the 100% truth. Even ChatGPT says GMS are the top teachers on this planet. In any form, dealing with the Bible. From these scholars of these other nations, these institutions, GMS is the top. Out of all the different Israelites groups, Old Testament or those that believe in the Messiah, GMS is the avant-garde of truth, Bible prophecy. And soon that implant is going to be made mandatory, just like the digital ID is now being set up to be made mandatory. The implant, the mark of the beast, is going to be a part of digital ID. So tell the Deacon Malachi of the IUIC to get it right. Or leave the IUIC and teach it the way GMS teaches it, because he has a certain amount of knowledge and insight and wisdom. He has a head on his shoulders, but he's stuck under the spell of Baron Samedi, a.k.a. Bishop Nathaniel. The Pied Piper of the IUIC. He got them in a spell, like zombies. But this is real. So I'm going to finish this out. It says to add IDs to the Apple Wallet, users are first asked to scan the physical document, complete a series of facial and head movements. Yeah, they're tracking you. They want to get you, right? AI is going to be tied into all of this. Why do you think AI is so real? Because they've been using all this information and these companies been selling your biometrics and your face and all that to these companies. And now you get these videos where these AI videos, they look like real people because they're using real people's faces. It says complete a series of facial and head movements for a biometric liveness check and take a selfie. Lastly, users perform a Face ID or Touch ID authentication. What you just did to say the selfie. That is the face. Hey, listen, GMS got it right. So you see it here, Apple ID to add these U.S. passports to the digital wallet. The digital ID is being rolled out here in the U.S. And the microchip implant, which is the MOTB, is coming soon. With that, I'll say shalom.